Hello you guys, I'm Stephanie. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Before I get into the story that I'm going to tell about what happened to me, why I have this little thing right there, what is going on with that, I am getting ready for work. I basically don't have nothing to get ready. I literally just have to change my shirt, but I want to do makeup. I'm going to be using these cute little makeup bags. Let's get started. So this was I don't know if it was a Monday, I don't know what day of the week it was, but it was just a random day. I was going to school. I got ready that morning. I don't think I ate my vitamins that morning actually, and I went to class. The first period, everything was good. Then I went into my second period. I'm in second period and I'm doing an assignment. Usually we get a few assignments in my second period, usually at least 3 assignments, but this day we only got literally 1 assignment and it was so easy. So I get to like the last question of the assignment and I'm like, okay, I need to use the restroom. And in my third period we're not allowed to use the restroom, so I was just like, let me just go right now before I have to go into my third period. So that's what I did. I raised my hand. I'm like, okay, can I go use the restroom? And in my head, I'm thinking, okay, I'm gonna just finish this assignment when I get back from the restroom. I get up to go use the bathroom. It's not TMI. I mean, it is kind of TMI, but a big part of the story, so I'm just gonna have to say it. I was on my menstrual cycle, right? I didn't even get up from the toilet yet, and I was feeling so weak. I felt like the cold sweats. I felt like about to pass out. I felt dizzy. I felt lightheaded. I felt horrible. This was a familiar feeling because I have felt like this before. Sitting down, it kind of made it worse on me. So I was like, okay, let me stand up because I'm pretty sure I'm gonna like feel better if I stand up and I'm not sitting here anymore, because for some reason it kind of feels like a strain, I guess. So that was the biggest mistake I made, which was to stand up. It's like a feeling that is so horrible because you can't do anything about it. Like nothing you do shakes that feeling away. It's just kind of like writing it out and seeing where it goes. I stand up thinking it's gonna help me feel better, and I grab my phone. I think my phone was like in my backpack or something. In my head I'm thinking, okay, like I was excited to go to my next class because it's anatomy and I really like anatomy. I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna have to go home because I feel so bad right now. So I grab my phone and I call my grandpa, and there is no service in the bathroom. I literally feel like the last bit of strength I had literally went into trying to call my grandpa. Like the weakness feeling did not go away and it was actually getting worse. So I thought to myself, if something happens to me, I want somebody to be able to easily access me and easily be able to come in. So I took the lock off, and then the last thing I did, I guess I was like trying to hold myself up with the last bit of strength I had. And the door is right here. There's a wall here. There's another stall this way. And I just looked into this corner and I remember kind of crouching into the corner. Next thing I know, it felt like a second literally went by. One moment I was crouching in the corner and the next moment I opened my eyes. I was breathing so heavily and I was like sweaty and I felt icky, and I was on the bathroom floor. Like, did I just pass out? Like, I was questioning myself. I'm like, girl, did I just literally pass out right now? I was so confused. That's when I hear a girl, like, she opened the stall above me, I think, and she opened and she was like, hey, are you okay? And that's when I hear her say, oh. That reaction sounds like I'm bleeding. Like, I must be bleeding for her to like have made that reaction. My side, and I'm like, am I bleeding? And I touch my head, you guys, and I just see blood on my fingers, and I'm like, oh my god, like I actually hurt myself. So I'm staying laying down on the floor. Like I can't hop right back up and like get up because I literally feel so weak still. And I realized like it's the floor literally helping me feel better because the floor was really cold. Even though it was disgusting, like the coldness from the ground was helping me get better. I wanted to stay laying down, as disgusting as that sounds. I saw like another girl in like the corner, and she was looking like this. I'm thinking, oh, she must have just walked in here and seen me, or like this girl must have heard me fall or something. I don't know. Like I did not know what was going on, right? The security guard, she comes in the bathroom and she's like, hey, what happened? She was asking me questions. She was like, hey, are you okay? What happened? Like, what's your name? And I told her everything. Like I was answering everything. Like obviously I had no energy. I was like, I'm Stephanie. Like that's cringy, but it's true. Like I was answering every single question they asked me. I would answer it. I would just answer with like no energy. And then another security came with a wheelchair. I was like, leave me on the ground because the floor helps me feel better. A man, I I feel like he is the principal, but I don't think he's the principal. I don't know. Someone from the office, he walked in and I was like, call my grandpa, call my grandpa. He was like, we already called the ambulance. Don't worry, like the ambulance is on the way. And I'm like, no, 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 don't call the ambulance. Just call my grandpa. In my head, like the ambulance was not necessary because like this has happened to me kind of similar before. Like I didn't fully pass out before, but I have like felt this kind of weakness and I just know it passes. Like if you just give it a little bit of time, like it eventually just passes. Not knowing what had happened to me, he was like, okay, we're gonna call your grandpa. And he was like, where's your phone? And I think one of the girls said, oh, I put it in her backpack for her. So he like went into my backpack, he got my phone, he handed it to me while I was still laying on the ground. So I unlocked it. So after a little while of me literally laying on that nasty floor, it wasn't really too long after, to be honest. It was kind of like shortly after, some not firemen, but paramedics came in and they were like, okay, can you stand up? And I'm like, no, I can't, because I was so weak, like what the heck. So they kind of dragged me up. When I was on the ground, I was actually in between two stalls. And I was confused as to like how I kind of got there. When I fell, obviously I was in my stall, but when I woke up, like, half of my body was in my stall and then the upper half of my body was in the girl's next to me stall. So I'm like, what? By then I had regained strength. I remember I touched myself and I was bleeding. So I wanted to look at myself before we left the bathroom. Like right there, when I stood up, there was like a mirror. So I kind of like took a few steps towards it. I looked at myself, you guys, and there was blood like all over my forehead and like some blood on my nose. And I was like, oh my God. But there's bad lighting in there, so I didn't see how big the cut was or anything like that. I saw like where the blood was coming from. I saw that there was like a cut right there, but I didn't see how bad it was. Lighting was not good. It's not good in that bathroom. And when I looked at myself in the mirror, I'm like, oh, that's why they called the ambulance. It all started to make sense. Like, okay, they didn't call the ambulance for no reason. I'm actually injured. So they put me on the stretcher. They tied me up on the stretcher. And they were like, okay, what class are you in? I told them the class I was in. They had got my belongings. I was like, oh, can you please get my water bottle? Because I have like my big water bottle. And I left it in class because remember, I was literally in class doing my work. One of the paramedics was like, that's not our #1 concern right now. And I'm like, boy, you're not the one that's gonna be without your water bottle. But then they did end up getting it because when that guy told me that, I asked like another one. I literally quickly asked like another person because I'm like, girl, I'm not about to leave my stuff. Thank you. Hey guys, so I'm at school right now and I'm gonna show you guys where it happened. When have you seen a story time that they show you exactly the place that happened? Let me know. Right here is where the stretcher was. Those are the two stalls I was in, like under in between. And yeah, I'm gonna make another explanation later because I have to go to class right now. So they put me up on the stretcher, they took me out like some back door and they got me into the ambulance. I wasn't feeling good, but I was feeling better per se because I wasn't feeling like to pass out or like that horrible weak feeling anymore. I just felt like my body kind of regaining strength. And the paramedic was, her blood pressure is like really low, her heart rate, I think both were actually low. And that was a little bit scary for me to hear because I don't think I've ever been told that before. The man that said that, he looked at my cut and he was like, you had a pretty good fall. And at the time, like I didn't know if that meant like, okay, you had a good fall, like it wasn't that bad, or if a pretty good fall meant like I really badly injured myself. And so I was a little bit confused. I could pop a picture up. I probably have to like blur out, but he literally wrapped like a bandage all around my head, on my forehead, and it made me look so funny. I didn't enjoy that at all. So after that, we shortly arrived to one hospital that was nearby my school. They took me into a room. They told me that there's this thing called vasovagal and it's basically strain from like using the restroom, and that could have been the cause. And I looked it up and the symptoms like aligned, so I'm pretty sure that's what happened to me. And they went in, they were like, oh, we don't think a CAT scan or a brain scan, we don't think none of that is necessary because that wasn't a very high fall. The woman was like, yeah, so you're gonna need stitches. And I'm like, oh my God. I was like, am I gonna get a scar? And she was like, you might get a scar. And I literally started tearing up so bad. It may seem vain to you. It may seem, wow, like that's what she cared about. I had a right to be sad in the moment because I hadn't even processed everything. I was literally thinking to myself like, wow, I'm literally gonna have a scar on my face now. And obviously I was thanking God for being okay. I was literally thanking Jesus, and I'm not kidding about that. I was thanking God that I was okay, that nothing really severe happened to me, because something way worse could have happened to me, and I'm fully aware of that. But at the same time, I was very sad that I was gonna get a scar on my face. Like, but she was like, I'm gonna go in, I'm gonna do an internal stitch, and I'm gonna do my best so that it doesn't leave a scar. I'm gonna do my best work to do the stitch. And I was like, okay. And she finally came back in. She had the supplies to do the internal stitch. Or it was a sheet with like a small hole in it, and she put it right over my eyebrow, so the sheet was over my face, so I couldn't see nothing. And thank God I couldn't see nothing, because I would have probably started crying even more. And she numbed it. I'm not gonna lie, when she numbed it, it hurt. Like, it was burning. It was like a burning, stinging sensation. And after she did the internal stitch, like, the nurses were walking in, they were like, oh, did she just put skin glue over it? And I'm like, no, it was a stitch. And they're like, oh my gosh, she did a really good job. And they were actually saying like she did a very good job, and that made me happy, because that doctor is my girl. She really did her best, and I really fully believe that. And after that, I don't know, maybe like an hour later, I went home. I was completely fine. The only thing was, you know, I was feeling kind of bummed out and everything, but other than that, I was good. But maybe 1 or 2 days later, I started realizing that right here in my head, it felt like numb, but I could still feel it. But at the same time, it felt like I had lost some sense right here. And whenever I would touch like right here, I could feel it all the way up here. So I was like, whoa, that's really, really strange. And I was very concerned about that. So I told my grandpa if he could take me back to the hospital. So I went and I told them like my symptoms, and at first they did not have any clue about what I was talking about. But after I told them that she had injected me with numbing medicine, they were like, hold on, did she inject you here? Did she inject you here? And I'm like, yes. And they're like, okay, so those sensations must be the nerve blockers. She injected you with nerve blockers so that you wouldn't feel the numbing. That made sense to me, but at the same time, I still wanted peace of mind. And since I hadn't gotten a brain scan from the first visit, I was really worried. And I was saying, what if something happened in my brain or something? So I told them, for peace of mind, could I just get a scan? And they were like, yes, no problem. So they did a scan. They told me that everything was perfectly fine. To this day, I still, like I said, feel like some type of numbing here. Like, it's weird because I could feel it, but it's just a different sensation. Like, I feel like I lost some type of sense right here. And when I touch here, I still can feel it like up here. It's kind of strange. But honestly, I don't think that's from the fall. And my scar actually might not be a scar. And even if it is, honestly, I will show you guys. It's not that bad. So if it does end up being a scar, I'm not too sad about it. No, obviously, I don't want a scar on my face. It's not crooked. It's actually very straight. Like, she did a really good job. I am wearing these patches. The patches that I'm wearing, they're called silicone scar sheets. Improves, heals, and lightens scars. So it's supposed to like lighten up the scar or like help with the scarring so it's not very prominent. For like a good 2 weeks, I was making sure to stay out of the sun. I made sure to wear a hat anytime I went out. I made sure to wear literally sunglasses, because that's another thing. Since it was so fresh, it hurt to like make facial expressions. So I made sure I wear glasses so that the lights don't get in my eyes and like make me like squint or nothing like that. I make sure to wear my sunscreen, especially right there, so that the sun doesn't darken it or make it any worse. And honestly, I should do a better job of keeping it out of the sun still. But since I have this patch, I kind of let it slide. That is what happened. Hey guys, so I just got back from work maybe an hour ago, so I'm like all settled in and looking like a mess, so excuse that. I wanted to tell you guys, after I fell, after I went to the hospital and everything, you know, I was back to my normal life, going to school, going to work, and I still had doubts about why did I fall in my stall but I woke up in another person's stall. Like, I still had doubts about that, so I really wanted to find the 2 girls that I saw in the bathroom. I recognized them both, but I didn't know them personally. Like, I must see them around eventually, right? And I did. So one of the girls is actually in my class, and you will never believe what I'm about to tell you. Remember how I told you guys there was a stall right next to me? Well, come to find out, the girl in my class was literally in that stall, and when I fainted, I slid into her stall while she was literally using the bathroom. She told me that she literally thought that I was not alive, and she told me that when she looked at me, she saw that I was bleeding at my head, and then she went to call the security. The girl in the stall was the girl that I said I had seen her in the corner looking all scared. But the girl that opened the stall and actually like checked on me, she told me that she was like in the mirror or something, or like washing her hands, and then she heard a thud, and that's when she saw my hair from under the stall when I fell. Them telling me what they heard and like what happened, like it kind of, it kind of answered my doubts, and that kind of made me feel better about it. The day that it happened, when I got back from the hospital and I was at home, I was going to sleep that night, and I literally had like mini PTSD, you guys. Like, I am not one to be dramatic at all. Well, okay, that's a lie. I can be dramatic, but I'm not being dramatic about this. And it only happened that one night. I don't remember it happening any other night after that or any other day after that. But that one specific night, I was literally shutting my eyes to go to sleep, and I just got flashbacks to me laying down on the bathroom floor. Getting flashbacks, like every time I was trying to close my eyes to go to sleep, I just saw myself laying down on the ground in the scary, disgusting, dim lighting bathroom. Well, this is a learning experience to definitely eat breakfast, definitely stay hydrated, eat my vitamins and everything. I gotta be healthy. But not only that, if I'm gonna faint, I cannot stand up, because me standing up makes it more dangerous. This was just like a very big learning lesson. And not only that, it also opened my eyes to being thankful for even being healthy, because there's people that have literally fell like that and they haven't seen the next day. And I literally only got like a tiny little cut. So I definitely was feeling very grateful. I still am. Let's continue. Okay guys, so this is how my makeup came out. That's a story for another day, why I want to show up to work looking like a baddie that I am. You gotta keep yourself looking good in front of them haters. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. I really wanted to share this story with you guys because it's just something that happened to me, and also I want to spread awareness. It's so important, you guys, to eat breakfast. Like, I know sometimes if we're in a rush for school, if you're in a rush for work, you might put it off. But I'm here to tell you, this literally happened to me because I was, number one, on my cycle, and number two, I was especially weak because I didn't eat that morning. So please, you guys, make sure you're eating, eat your vitamins, take care of yourself, stay hydrated. That's another thing. And also, if you're gonna faint, sit down. Do not stand up like I did. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Take care. God bless you guys, and I'll see you in the next video.